Hi everybody, welcome to Spread the Word, hosted at JC's house. My name is Ashley and I'm an alcoholic.
Ashley.
We ask that you please put away your cell phones or quiet down your areas and help us to open this meeting by bowing your head and observing a moment of silence followed by the Serenity Prayer. God,
Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
This is the definition of Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. In the Spread the Word group, we respect and share the spiritual principles behind the 12 steps together. Please repeat after me. 1, honesty.
Honesty.
2, hope.
Hope.
3, faith.
Faith.
4, courage.
Courage.
5, integrity.
Integrity.
6, willingness.
Willingness.
7, humility.
Humility.
8, brotherly love.
Brotherly love.
9, self-discipline.
Self-discipline.
10, perseverance.
Perseverance.
11, spirituality.
Spirituality.
And 12, service.
Service.
Okay, is there anyone here for their very first AA meeting? Anyone new to this meeting or anyone just coming back? Please introduce yourself so that we can get to know you. Yes.
My name is Andrew. I'm Polish.
Hey, Andrew,
Hi, Andrew,
welcome.
welcome. Hi,
AJ, welcome.
First time at this meeting. Norm, alcoholic.
Hi, Norm.
Michael, alcoholic and drug addict, first time at this meeting.
Hi, Michael. I'm not sure if anybody on Zoom is new, but if you are, welcome. We're so happy that you're here tonight. We're so grateful that we can be here tonight together and continue coming to meetings. I have asked, let's see. I have asked Paul to read more about alcoholism.
First time ever reading. First time ever.
Perfect. So you're going to start here, and you're going to end right there.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Paul. I'm an addict.
Hey, Paul.
Most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real alcoholics. No person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove we could drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his drinking is a great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. We learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people, or presently may be, has to be smashed. We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. We know that no real alcoholic ever recovers control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitfall and incomprehensible demoralization. We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better. We are like men who have lost their legs. They never grew new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other men. We have tried every imaginable remedy. In some instances, there has been brief recovery, followed always by a still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism agree there is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Science may one day accomplish this,
But it hasn't done so yet. Good job.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you, Paul. That was great.
Thank you.
And I've asked AJ to read how it works.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, it's
Start here. All the way through until this last line, okay? Just read all the way through that.
Sorry, everybody. Just got off of work. Probably smell like a can of bleach.
It's all good, we're glad you're here.
Thank you. My name is AJ. I'm an
AJ.
alcoholic.
AJ.
Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. They are such unfortunates, they are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way. We could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember, we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it's too much for us. There is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. We admitted that we are powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made the decisions to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood them. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, to another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We are entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7. Humbly ask him to remove all our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed, became willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except to do so would injure them or others. 10. To take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaim, "What an order! I cannot go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make 3 things pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism and see that God
God could and would if he were sought.
And now, it's time for our secretary's report.
It's not that funny. Hi, my name's Tommy. I'm an alcoholic.
Tommy.
I am also your alcoholic secretary. This is the Spread the Word group. We meet every Thursday at 8:30, usually at the 12-step house, but it's closed, so until it opens, we're meeting at 8 o'clock here at JC's. We are open for membership. With all of our members, please raise your hand and keep your hand raised. If you'd like to join the group, you can see me or anybody else with their hand raised. Our business meeting is held on the last Thursday of every month. Please stay and get involved, as there is no greater reward than serving others. Remember, nothing ensures permanent sobriety so much as working with another alcoholic. We are foregoing the passing of the baskets due to the circumstances, but thank you for the support of our group. We really appreciate it. Celebrants, if you're celebrating a year or more of sobriety, you'd like to be acknowledged or celebrate with us, anybody? I know Chevelle has 8 years this month. And I'm gonna celebrate 3 on the 29th. Are there any announcements for the good of AA? No? All right, thank you for letting me be of service.
Tammy Jo has her hand up as a member of this group.
Oh, yes, Tammy, what's up? Hi. Did she want to, about celebrating?
No, just doesn't.
Oh, just to say hi, okay.
Yep.
We love you,
love you,
Tammy and
Tammy.
Tommy. Okay, so tonight, guys, glad you're here. We're gonna hear about hope tonight, step 2, with a great guy that is coming in here and, giving us his experience, strength, and hope, and we really appreciate it. So this is Robert.
Okay, I got it. I'm Robert, I'm an alcoholic.
Robert.
My sobriety date is the 18th of December of 2007, and for that I am truly grateful. My home group is the Harbor Group of Hollywood, which meets Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock and Sundays at 7:30 in Pembroke Road in West Dixie. So if you're ever lost in the area, when we open back up, give us, come on by. We'd love to have you, or you can find us on Zoom. So let me tell you a little bit about step 2. Listen, last week I spent a lot of time telling you about all the things that had to happen to me for me to be crushed. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't walk in here and want to live by spiritual principles or any of that shit. I didn't, my sponsor says that this is the con's the con, you know what I mean? Like, we come in here and our lives are in the toilet and we have legal charges and all this stuff, and before you know it, we're like meditating and praying and living by principles, and how does that work? Because that's not what I signed up for. And so, and I'm going to read some things out of our literature, but basically step 2 says that we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, right? Well, last week we spent time talking about this. Let me just recap it real quick. We talked about, which was very easy for me to see, there's not a lot of work really required for the first step, other than I have to the guy read it, and I love more about alcoholism. It really does sum up in 2 paragraphs what I have to do if I want to even start doing anything in here. See, because from 1996 to 2007, I just came to meetings. I didn't fully concede to my innermost self I was an alcoholic. What does that even mean, fully concede to my innermost self? It means to fully admit, fully and deeply, in every cell in my body, those last thoughts before I go to sleep at night, the first ones I have when I wake up, that part of my brain, that part of my life is what's real. Because I can't bullshit myself or you during that time. It's just me and my thoughts. And if at that time I fully concede to my innermost self I'm an alcoholic, then I probably were at step one. Thing is from 1996 to 2007, I didn't do that. I didn't even think I was an alcoholic. You know that I used to just say Robert alcoholic because you guys said it? In fact, when I would say it, I feel like a fraud and a phony. I'm like, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't drink, I don't know, wine under a bridge with a bag or something, because that's what I thought alcoholics did. So from 1996 to 2007, what I did was I just hung around Alcoholics Anonymous, you follow? I just went to meetings. And there's nothing wrong with that. We don't set the bar real high around here. The only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking. And we're not, I don't think Ashley's checking at the door. I don't think Stevie's at the door going, do you want to stop drinking? Do you want to stop drinking? We don't even check that. So everybody's welcome in Alcoholics Anonymous. Thank God. And the reason for that is because, well, we welcome everybody. And there's an old saying, there's a nut for every bolt that walks through the door, whatever that deal is. And that was me. I just wanted to not drink and come to meetings and have my life get better so I could get the judge off my back, or the girlfriend, or my parent, whatever it was, the legal consequences, so I could do what I wanted to do again down the road. The thing is if you're a real alcoholic, that experiment usually goes very badly. And that's exactly what happened to me. I stopped drinking for 5 years, and then for 2 years and a year before this 12. But those last 6 months, I weighed 147 pounds. My organs were shutting down. Doctors were giving me weeks to live, and I didn't even care. I was living down in South Beach where it's okay to do that. You know what I mean? Like everybody's walking around, everybody's real skinny, and they look at you and go, you look great. It's like, no, I don't. I look horrible. I know I look horrible, man. I look like a friggin' Auschwitz survivor. I haven't had a full meal in 6 months. So the truth is this and nothing less, that until you fully concede, until I fully conceded to my innermost self that I was an alcoholic, there was no way I could do any steps in here, because that's the first part of the first step, right? We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. So what does that mean? Well, it means that once I start, I can't stop, and once I stop, I can't stay stopped. And that's been my drinking from 12 to 38. And the second part is my life was unmanageable. I don't know about you guys, but my life, it wasn't really hard to see that. Like anybody could figure that out. I'll give you an example of what that looked like. So, I had a decent paying job. I was going to school full time, but I didn't think it was fair for me to pay cable. So I just stole it for 3 years, you know what I mean? They'd come, shut it off, I'd pay a Cuban guy to reconnect it. This was okay in my mind. Even though I made the money to pay for it, it just didn't seem fair to me. Because when you're crazy, on Planet Robert, that makes sense. You see what I'm saying? If you're selfish and self-centered and the whole thing is about you, then every rule I made up in my brain made perfect sense to me. So if I didn't, I also didn't pay the electric. I lived in an old one-bedroom garden flat down in South Beach, and the electric systems are kind of older, so they would come and disconnect it, and I would just go out there and clip the lock and put it back on. What's the problem? And I did this for years. Now, you see, that's craziness. Who does? Normal people don't do that shit. See, if I say that story in here and you guys nod your head, or I get a wink or a smile or something out there, I know I'm in the right place. When I tell that story to normal people, they're like, that's horrible. Why would you do that? They don't even understand it. So I came in, my life was a complete shit show, and I couldn't stop drinking, and the unmanageability of my life was profound. I told you I was jumping out of moving cabs. I was a crazy person. And here's the thing, the big book says that we're mental defectives in full flight from reality. By the way, I may say some stuff just to piss you off, just to get your attention. But listen, I'll read it right out of the book. I didn't like that either when somebody said, I said, wait a minute. You're saying that I'm a mental defective in full flight from reality? They said, oh yeah, absolutely. I had a problem with that. See, I just thought I had a drinking problem. What I didn't realize is I have something worse. Listen, it's called alcoholism. I know, it's bad. Because apparently, well, let me just read it to you. Don't take my word for anything I say. Listen, if I say it, it's my opinion, but if I read it out of the book, it's our program. So if you have a problem with something that I read out of the book, then you have a problem with our program. Here's what it says. The terms spiritual experience and spiritual awakening are used many times in this book, which upon careful reading show that the personality change sufficient enough to bring about recovery from alcoholism has manifested itself among us in many different forms. Notice it doesn't say stop drinking. And notice it talks about personality. So apparently, there has to be some sort of change in my personality if I want to get over alcoholism. See, if you get a normal guy drunk, and you get an alcoholic drunk, they look the same. Drunk is not alcoholism. The next day, the normal guy's normal. He goes to work, it's business as usual. The alcoholic, well, he's irritable, restless, discontented, pissed off, wants to light the world on fire, watch it burn, hates you, hates me, hates people until he can get like 18 Roman Cokes in him. Then he feels better for a little while. That's alcoholism. That's why I drank. So, after I fully conceded to my innermost self that I was an alcoholic, not because I wanted to, but because I had been crushed. Well, let me tell you what, listen. I'll take my word for it. Let me tell you what happened to me as it relates to our book. So, it says here, to be faced with alcoholic destruction, here it says, faced with alcoholic destruction, we soon became open-minded on spiritual matters as we had tried on other questions. In this respect, alcohol was the great persuader. It finally beat us into a state of reasonableness. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't come in here willing, and I wanted to, like, I don't know, play with puppy dogs and kittens and rainbows and waterfalls and slide down and eat red unicorn meat and shit like that. I didn't want any of that stuff. You see what I'm saying? I was an angry guy. This is like much improved, believe me. So, I'm just telling you what it is. But alcohol, when it has its way with you, suddenly you become real open-minded to do whatever Alcoholics Anonymous asks you to do. So step 2 says, well, after I admitted that I was powerless over alcohol and my life was unmanageable, we got to step 2, which is came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So I'm going to read a couple things to tell you how I got there. Well, I just read it. This is one of the ways I got there. I got beat up. But I began to read things like this. Lack of power, that was our dilemma. We had to find a power by which we could live, and it had to be a power greater than ourselves, right? Obviously, but where were we to find this power? Then it says this, to be doomed to an alcoholic death or live on a spiritual basis are not always easy alternatives to face. But then it goes on to say things like God either is or he isn't. You're either going to do this stuff or you're going to die. That's basically what it's saying. You don't have to like the language. And you might say, geez, Robert, that's a little extreme, don't you think? Yeah, it is. Here's what it says in Tradition 1. Those who look closely soon have the key to this strange paradox. The AA member has to conform to the principles of recovery. His life actually depends upon obedience to spiritual principles. I'll read it again. His life. Not his money, not his girl, not his comforts in life. Not that I buy the place or lease the place, not comparing your bank account to my bank account. His life actually depends upon obedience to spiritual principles. Then it goes on to say the following. If he deviates too far, the penalty is sure and swift. He sickens and dies. I don't know about you guys, but I know plenty of people who drifted and sickened and died. They're gone.
That's right.
That's all the time. So you see, once you see that, when you read shit in a book, that's one thing. But when you actually see that happen again and again and again and again and again and again, you begin to say, you know what? I better follow these principles or I might sicken and die. And it's real easy to drift. It's real subtle. I gotta tell you. But nothing more will make you a firm believer than your own experience, good and bad. You don't have to drift and sicken and die. You don't have to. So we're going to talk about what that deal looks like. So a couple of other things in the big book I want to read that I think are important to step 2. Here it is. Much to our relief, we discovered that we did not need to consider another conception of God. Our own conception, however inadequate, was sufficient to make an approach and to effect contact with him. As soon as we admitted the possible existence of a creative intelligence, spirit of the universe, underlying the totality of things, we began to be possessed with a new sense of power and direction, provided that we took other simple steps. We found that God does not make too hard terms for those who seek him. So if you seek him, you will find him. In your own way, in your own words, in your own deal. No one gets to tell you in Alcoholics Anonymous what that's supposed to look like. You don't have to believe me. I want to read to you. Listen, I'm just going to keep reading. We found that God does not make, so it says, to us the realm of the spirit is broad, roomy, all-inclusive, never excluding or forbidding. That means that we don't exclude people in here for their spiritual or religious beliefs. Everybody's welcome in Alcoholics Anonymous. Muslims are welcome in Alcoholics Anonymous. Christians are welcome in Alcoholics Anonymous. Right? Jewish folks are welcome. Everybody's welcome here because it is a power and a concept that is specific to you. And I don't know about you, but you know, my mom was Jewish and my dad was Catholic. I thought I was so unique with that story until I heard Stevie tell it one day. I'm like, geez, the more you hang around AA, the more you realize you're just another bozo on the bus. You know what I mean? Just another alcoholic that scraped in here and begged mercy and forgiveness. And found it, thank God, through the program. And so, you know, I was raised Jewish till about 10. Then I was getting in fights and shit. And, you know, they threw me out of synagogue, so they thought it'd be a good idea to send me to the Catholic Church. That didn't go very well either. Then I just got kicked out of both. So, you know, by the time I was, I don't know, 15 or whatever that is, I just didn't really have any concept of much. But I've decided tonight that, and I usually don't do this, but I'm going to tell you a couple of God stories that happened to me prior to coming in. And I'm going to read some more stuff, and we'll keep going with this deal. So I believe that God was working in my life even prior to submitting to this deal on the 18th of December of 2007. So I have some specific stories, a couple of them. So one story is that my parents were Dominican. So they retired when I was like 20 years old, moved back, bought a villa there. So I'd go visit all the time. So one year I went and I went to visit them, and my nephew, who was 10 years old at the time, was there with my brother. And my brother had to go back early, so my nephew had to fly back with me. Well, at that time, and probably still to this day, if you travel across, you know, to another country, you have to have an adult with you if you're a minor. Doesn't sound like a big deal to you guys, but I'm an alcoholic. That can go very badly if I do some stupid shit, which is what I did. Check it out. So I was in one city, and the night before the flight, I decided to go to another city with some alcoholic cousins of mine to go see a band. The band was Maná, for those of you who know Spanish bands. So I go see Maná in another city, and Mom's like, listen, the flight's at 3. You have to be here at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock, I'm thinking, how could I screw that up? 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The city's like an hour away, right? So go to the concert and stay up all night until, I don't know, 8 or 9 or 10 the next day. I was supposed to get on a specific kind of bus, but I'm so impaired I don't even remember what Mom told me to do or which bus to take or what the hell. So I got on like a Dominican public bus. Well, I don't know what you know about third world countries, but it's not good. There's like chickens on these buses and no air conditioning and shit like this, right? And they break down. So the bus breaks down. Now I'm realizing we're not going to make it. It's like 12:30, it's 1 o'clock, I'm late. So the alcohol starts to wear off, and I'm on a bus, and I know I'm going to be late. My nephew's not going to be able to get on that plane, and that doesn't sound like a big deal, but at Christmas time in the Dominican Republic, if you miss a flight at that time, you might not get a plane for days or weeks. You might get stuck. So I'm sitting on a bus, and so the bus breaks down, we get off, and more buses come, and finally we get one that works, like 3 buses later. It's like 1:30, 1:45, and, you know, I don't know about you guys, but all the alcohol starts coming out of me. I haven't eaten, I just start crying. And I'm not one to tell cry stories, because I'm not like a real cry kind of guy, but it wasn't like, you know, helicopter kind of crying. Just like tears rolling down my face out of the guilt that I knew that my nephew was going to get stuck. So there's this nun. So she comes over and she says all in Spanish, my child, you know what's wrong. And I'm like, I don't want to do this, you know, and I'm such an alcoholic, I don't even want to talk to this lady. I'm like, I don't want to talk to her. She says, no, well, what did you do? I said, well, I did some bad stuff. She said, did you kill anybody? I said, no. She said, what'd you do? So I told her the story. So she said a prayer, she gave me a rosary and a little Bible, and she said, everything's going to be okay. Now, I didn't believe her, but I felt better for like 5 minutes, you know, whatever that is. So we finally get there. It's like 2 o'clock. My dad is screaming and yelling, and it's a big dramatic show. They're all pissed off at me. I'm hungover. I'm sure none of you know what it is to do that deal, right? Your parents are pissed. You're hungover. The family's all mad at you. You did whatever you did. I'm like 23 years old or whatever I am. And I get to the deal, and we get to the airport. Turns out the plane's delayed 4 hours. And we make that plane. Now, at the time, I just thought, what a cool coincidence. But what's happened to me in these last 12 years as I look back at all those miracles and all those near misses and all the times I was in the backseat of a cop car and it was going, and the cop comes and says, tonight you're lucky night, I'm going to let you go. None of you have probably had those, right? I'm sure. I mean, I've had a whole bunch of those. I can't tell you how many of those I had. So I'm going to give you one. I'm DUI for sure. I'm driving in Coral Gables. I've been drinking 151 for hours. Hours. I'm so drunk I can't even hide it. I can't fake it. You know what I mean? Like, one eye is closed when the cop pulls me over because I can't even fake sober. So I see him coming and I pull into a store. Wait a second here. I pull into a store and I jump into the passenger seat, thinking that'll work. So, you know, he's like, okay, well, who's driving? Well, I'm not driving. He's like, no, I want to know who's driving. I'm like, I'm not driving. I'm just not going to admit to driving. I was not driving. I wasn't driving. Did you see me drive? No, my windows were tinted, whoever that is. So he says, listen, you tell me the truth or I'm taking you to jail. I'm like, I wasn't driving. Deny, right? So he puts me in the backseat of the cop car, and I've got like other substances on me of the white powdery type, and I know I'm going to get in trouble. I'm looking at speeding, driving without a license, no tags, I'm DUI. I've got cocaine in my pocket. This is going to go very badly. So I start with the whole, God, if you'll just get me out of this. Those are called foxhole prayers. Foxhole prayers, right? I'll go to church. I'll pay the money back. I'll go to synagogue. I'll go see my family. Whatever. I'm cutting deals with God. Like he cuts deals, by the way. I don't think God cuts deals, but so I'm in the back seat doing that whole dance, and he's like yelling and screaming, and he's pissed off. And finally, he just comes and he says, tonight's your lucky night. I got another call. But if I ever see you in this neighborhood again, I'm going to arrest you and just take you to jail on principle. Let me go. Now, I've got story after story after story after story after story like that, right? And so what I believe is that God's been working in my life the whole time. That's what, even when I wasn't looking for him. So in step 2, when I came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. So you might say, well, what does that mean? What does that mean, restore me to sanity? Well, for me, I was pretty clear that I was crazy. But I'll give it to you in nicer terms. Sanity is defined as soundness of mind, yet no alcoholic sober analyzing his destructive behavior, whether the destruction fell on the dining room furniture or on his moral fiber, can claim soundness of mind. I don't know how you guys drank. I know how I drank. And the way I drank, it was very clear to me that I had been crazy since I was like, 12. You know what I mean? Like, I never drank normally. I started going to juvenile hall and jail when I was 15 years old. I mean, it was 14 actually. So it's, as soon as I drank, it's like instant criminal. Immediately. The rules are just out the window. I just don't care. And the beautiful thing is when I came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity, and I don't know that I actually got to a place where I just believed it. I just started doing what all alcoholics are supposed to do, which is just chop wood and carry water. Shut up and go to meetings. Stop telling everybody what I think and feel, which that sucks anyway. Those are called old ideas. They don't do anything for my recovery. This is how it was explained to me. Robert, why don't you just shut up? I didn't like that very much, just like you don't like it. Even when I say it, I'm not even saying it to you. Like, what do you mean? Hey, fuck you. Because that's my next thought, right? Who do you think you're talking to? Even though my life's in the toilet. But I began to go to meetings. I began to work steps. And I began to pray to God, even though I didn't even know what I was doing. And then I'm going to read something else that talks about how to pray. Because I don't know about you guys. I think I knew maybe like 2 prayers. You know that you repeat in church and you're not even thinking about what you're praying when you're praying and just words out of your mouth. You know what I mean? Like that deal. You're not really having dialogue with God. You're just doing, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed. You're not really thinking about what you're saying. At least I. So it says a couple things here. It says, I just want to read these things about step 2. First, Alcoholics Anonymous does not demand you believe anything. If anybody ever tells you that Alcoholics Anonymous demands you believe something, they are lying to you. Because on page 26 in the 12 and 12, it makes very clear AA's position on that deal. And here it says, Alcoholics Anonymous does not demand that you believe anything. All of its 12 steps are but suggestions. Second, to get sober and stay sober, you don't have to swallow all of step 2 right now. And third, all you need is an open mind. And that's as good as I could do. That's as good as I was able to do the deal. And so I came in and started going to meetings and worked step 1 and started to work step 2 and got a service commitment and started doing all the things we're all supposed to do around here, chopping wood and carrying water. And somewhere along the line, there was a little slither of sanity And next week, I'll talk more about how the obsession was removed. I woke up one day and realized, I don't know about you guys, I thought about drinking every day from 14 to 38, literally. Every day, without fail. And I came into AA, and somewhere around the 2 or 3 month mark, when my brains were scrambled eggs, and I was picking up 60 and 90 days, and people were clapping, which I didn't really understand why they were clapping when I picked up poker chips, but I was just doing what I was told to do. Somewhere along that line, the obsession was removed. See, that's when I really came to believe that a power greater than myself can restore me to sanity, because nothing more will make you a firm believer than your own experience. So if you try to stop drinking your whole life, and suddenly you submit to this thing, and you say a few prayers, and you do some meetings, and it's gone, well, that'll make you a believer. See, other things started to happen. Consequences were being removed from my life. Things were being restored quickly. Some things, not everything, but a lot of things. Thank God we don't get what we deserve around here. You know what I mean? Like, I was going into courtrooms and the judge would say shit like, I don't even know why I'm going to do this. Even he didn't know why he was going to do it, because God changes men's minds. I've seen it. He'll change a man's mind mid-sentence. They'll give you a break. They don't even like you. They don't even know why they're giving you a break. Because I came to believe that a power greater than myself can restore me to sanity. And that's what God will do for me, and that's what God will do for anybody in this room. If you're just coming back, welcome back. If you're counting days, welcome to Alcoholics Anonymous. This thing is open to everybody. There is nothing special about me, I can assure you. I love it when my sponsees call and say they want my advice on, like, I don't know, relationships. I'm like, if you saw my relationship history, you wouldn't ask me, sir. Or they'll ask me about how to handle this or that. The only thing I know how to tell them is go back to meetings, go back to the steps, go back to the book. All of our answers are in here. I had a sponsee call me 10, 20 minutes before I came here. And he was faced with indecision. So, 84 through 88, when we're faced with indecision, what are we supposed to do? Upon awakening, we do this. When we go to bed, we do that. When we face indecision, we do that. There's a whole formula. And when I apply that stuff, it's beautiful. And when I don't, it's freaking horrible. Because the horrible thing is, it's my old ideas, trying to bull my way through something, or think my way through something, or get pissed off because the lady doesn't, push the gas as soon as the light turns green, whatever that is, or people don't already know what they want at Starbucks, and they spend time thinking about it. It's like, I'm in a hurry. But the whole world doesn't revolve on planet Robert, that's okay. But see, I have to live in the world, where I'm one of 6 billion, a small part of a big whole, starting in Alcoholics Anonymous and going out to every part of the world. And I don't always do that well. But when I apply the formulas, it's perfect. Because this stuff works perfectly. It really, really does. I just have to practice it and get better at it. A couple of other things I want to read. It says this. Finally, when our scorecards read 0, we saw that one more strike would put us out of the game forever. We had to look for our lost faith. It was in AA we rediscovered it, and so can you. And that's absolutely been my case. The intellectually self-sufficient man or woman. So I used to think if I just got enough education, I could think my way out of anything. My sponsor likes to say, the book says we're above average intelligence. My sponsor, boy, likes to say, for a bunch of smart people, we do a lot of stupid shit. And that was my case. So here I am, thinking to myself, what I need to do is outsmart this thing. Meanwhile, I had like 2 neurons firing. They were waving goodbye to each other. I made nothing but bad decisions for 20 years. You know what I mean? I didn't make any good decisions for a long time. My brothers and my family nicknamed me the shit magnet. You get it? Like, I could screw up a ham sandwich. It was very bad. But somehow I thought I was going to outsmart alcoholism. Look, should I go here? Yeah, I'm going to go here. I believe that this is spiritual warfare. I believe that this is the oldest battle in the world. It's been around for thousands of years. Thousands of years. The battle between light and darkness, good and evil, whatever you want to call it. And so if our solution is spiritual, then the problem is too spiritual, right? And I think at 38 years old, with my whole 38 years of living in the world, that I'm going to outsmart thousands of years of evil. It doesn't work that way. I'm going to have to come into Alcoholics Anonymous and pray and get in the group. This is where the power is. When we prayed at 8 o'clock, there's power there. And every week I mention it, and I'll keep mentioning it, because at 8 o'clock we prayed with all the meetings. It started in Broward County at 8 o'clock, and in Miami, and in Palm Beach, and in Key West. In fact, all up and down the East Coast at 8 o'clock. What do you think? That's like tens of thousands of alcoholics? And then we prayed with all the meetings at 7 Central Time, and 6 Mountain Time, and 5 Pacific time. What do you think? Maybe that's like hundreds of thousands of alcoholics, maybe millions of alcoholics. There's power there. There's power there. Because I know that left to my own devices, my alcoholism will kill me. And I know that there are forces out there that would love nothing more than to do that. So I have to stay in the light, safe and protected. We've been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected in Alcoholics Anonymous. And that is what I believe. And you don't have to believe that, and that's not out of the book, but let me read something else. This is right, listen, this is on page 31 for those of you who get mad about it. It's okay. If I piss you off, you won't forget what I said. Listen, it says, as psychiatrists have often observed, defiance is the outstanding characteristic of many an alcoholic. I don't know any alcoholics who came in here following all the rules. Do you? I just don't. It says we're defiant. So if it says something like, don't park here, they mean you don't fucking park here. They don't mean me don't park here. I'm in a hurry. Or if there's a line, they mean you wait in the line. I'm not waiting in line. I have shit to do. That's defiance. That means I just want to do whatever I want to do. You know what? Dr. Bob says it very nicely. Dr. Bob says that he used to, you know what? I'm going to tell you what Dr. Bob said. Because it really does sort of spell out very clearly what alcoholism looks like. It says this. I'm going to read a couple more things and I'm going to shut up. My whole life seemed to be centered around doing what I wanted to do without regard for the rights, wishes, or privileges of anyone else, a state of mind which became more and more predominant as the years passed. See, in the normal world, if you're that way, you're just an asshole. But in here, if you do that stuff, you're going to die. If you don't find a way to get out of that thinking, this thing will kill you. That's how it's been explained to me. But let's talk, that's the bad news. Now for some more good news. Now it's talking about how to pray to God. At no time had we asked what God's will was for us. Instead, we've been trying to tell him what it ought to be. Belief meant reliance, not defiance. We saw the fruits of belief in men and women spared from alcohol's final catastrophe. We saw them meet and transcend other pains and trials. We saw them calmly accept those impossible situations, seeking neither to run nor re-incriminate. And I'm going to close with this. True humility and open mind can lead us to faith, and every AA meeting is assurance that God will restore us to sanity if we rightly relate ourselves to him. That's it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you for being here tonight, giving us your valuable time and reminding me of all those things. That's why I come to meetings, to be reminded and to be around other alcoholics. So we got a little bit of time for sharing. So anyone feel like sharing tonight about step 2 or about just where you're at right now?
I'm an alcoholic. My name is Russell.
Hi, Russell.
Thank you, Robert. That was fine. I heard you speak 2 weeks ago, and I made sure that I got here a half hour early to see. You got me with the I'm just another bozo on the bus line. I was hooked when I heard you first speak. Because truly, that's how I feel on live days. I'm one of the older people in this community, and I'm just coming back.
Welcome back.
You know, I have 4 months back tomorrow.
Congratulations.
And much like you said, you know, I have had many years sober and relapsed. In the last 4 years, it's just been a total struggle for me to get back. It's only through a power greater than myself that I'm still sitting in this seat. Because at 62 years old, many of the people that came in 30 years ago when I got here, most of them are gone. I had a great experience today. I'm just going to share it quickly. I went to my first outside meeting in 6 weeks today, and it was a meeting where A friend of mine was picking up 30 years from me. I met this guy, my second meeting here in South Florida. So I know this guy for 30 years. And in this meeting of 15 people, I happen to know 5 of those people for over 25 years. I sponsored 3 of those people who have over 25 years till now. And there I am for 4 months and still alive. And you know, this disease wants us dead. And I believe, like you, this is spiritual warfare. And I've done the dance with the devil for many, many years. And to end it, very simply, if you want to have a good life, you'll get clean and sober. And if you want to have a terrible life, you continue to fuck up and tempt fate. And if you're lucky, you'll live and maybe, you know, get this thing one day. But, you know, I'm just going to say, my brother here is such an inspiration to me. He's got 3 years and you're like one of the miracles. You know, torch goes to you guys. So, I can
Okay, I have somebody on Zoom that wants to speak. Okay, hold on, let me figure this out. It's Vanessa. Do you know how to unmute yourself? Shoot, I don't know how to do it. Wait, do what you did earlier by bringing up that list. All right, hold on, Vanessa. We're gonna unmute you.
Where is she? She's not on
I don't know, something must have happened. Okay, all right. We'll try to figure it out. Moving on. Yes, hi.
I just want to say that I've been glad to be here.
What's your name?
My name is Andrew.
Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
I was once very well connected with God. I was raised in a Catholic community. Went into a Christianity environment, and I totally can relate to what you're saying in regards to God always being there. I was arrested at the age of 18, doing something very foolish. I was robbing a drug dealer. The drug dealer was robbing me. When they ended up testing the drugs, I was supposed to get tried for possession of MDMA. It turned out it was bath salts. At the time, bath salts was not illegal. Thanks to that incident, I just served some probation and then continued my life and thought I was bettering myself. I got lost in the scene of Miami, and again, ran into another situation where I was traveling in Puerto Rico, and I was at a strip club doing cocaine and drinking, and ended up shot twice over somebody trying to mug me. I lost my life. I was on life support for 3 days. I had 11 blood transfusions. This is a true story. I got shot twice in my leg. Spent 30 days in the hospital. There was no generators. First hospital told me to pull my mother and say goodbye. They said I wasn't going to make it. They asked me if I had family there. The buddy that I was with said, no, we can't give up. Although you don't have a generator, this was after Hurricane Maria, right after it. Where is there a hospital that does? They said, it's too far, I'll never make it. You lost too much blood. I barely speak Spanish. I was very scared. I FaceTimed my girlfriend at the time, and I said goodbye. My friend held my leg, wrapped his belt around me, he dragged me to that hospital. We got there 15 minutes later, I died. They revived me. I'm here today. I lost myself, and I built a company here in Hollywood, Florida, and I lost respect for the guys that were working for me. The workers became my friends. So I volunteered to come to JC Recovery, not knowing that it was a religious environment. I thought JC standing for some guy Corey I was talking to, and I figured they were all partners. Turns out it isn't Jesus Christ, it's actually Stevie B's, I guess, father. But to make a long story short, I'm happy to be back here with God. I'm happy to surrender to God. I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Yes.
I'm JC, I'm an addict.
JC.
Man, you got no idea how much we appreciate you coming out here, man. I don't want to get into all the war stories and everything, man. I just got out of prison after doing a 13-and-a-half-year bid. Got locked up a month after my 16th birthday. Got out, thought I knew every damn thing in the world, man. Couldn't tell me anything. I learned all the wrong shit in there. Got the degree, certifications, thought I was the smartest person in the damn world. Got out of job as an engineer, making $150,000 a year, nice car, nice shit, and ended up finding myself in a house surrounded by stuff, miserable as hell. And I hear people like you talk, man. It's inspirational. I mean, it helps me more than I think you realize. And honest to God, as painful as it is to admit, the other day I was driving around and I stopped by a gas station. My thing was IPAs. I stopped by Wawa and I stopped right in front of the damn window and I thought about it. I'm sitting there, man, I'm like, talking to my brother Rob, and he was saying how great of a sponsor you were, and man, that was like one of the first things that popped into my mind, man, was another bozo on the bus. I was like, if I touch this shit, I'm gonna be right back where the hell I left off. And I know this is a God thing, man. I got a week left here. I'm headed back to the house in Orlando, but brother, if I didn't have a sponsor already, you damn sure be the one I'd ask to do it, man. So thank you very much on behalf of everybody, man. I'm sure we all agree with that. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, Lori.
Hey, Lori, alcoholic.
Lori.
Rob, you are a true inspiration. First time I heard you speak, I was so inspired at that moment, and when I knew you were going to do a step series, I was so excited about it. You know, I'm a chronic relapser. I've been trying to do this thing for more years than I'd like to admit. I've gotten a little bit of time here and there, but when you talked about the death thing, you know, I have literally died twice. I was in the admitting room, or the admissions office of a treatment center when I told somebody I was trying to detox by myself from benzos and alcohol. And she said, oh my God, you know, you're 5 days by yourself at home alone, you're gonna die and you need to get help right now. And she sent a van to pick me up, and he stopped on the way to the place. He said, you need something to drink to keep you over? And I said, sure, just, you know, because I was in a bad place. And while I was sitting there trying to fill out the paperwork, boom, grand mal seizure, blue, foaming at the mouth, heart stopped, paddles, the whole 9 yards. That wasn't enough to stop me. It happened again, years later. That wasn't enough to stop me. And, you know, I can tell you from this alcoholic, having this program and people at JC's, this is my family. I don't have any family here in Florida. I have a handful of family members left in DC and Maryland, where I'm from. But I come here to get fortified. And I hear guys like you, and you talk about, you know, where you were and how you thought you could do it. I've always had God in my life, but he wasn't my spiritual foundation, and he wasn't, I didn't guide my life by what he tells me to do, you know, and now I'm starting to finally see the light at an age that I'm not proud of, just starting to really get this thing. You know, I've got 30 days coming back from a relapse on Saturday, and Mother's Day is the anniversary of my mom's death, and I thought it was going to be on Sunday, and you know, I want her to know, and I know she's in heaven with God. She was probably one of the most godly people I knew in my life, and she's the reason I've always had faith, but I want her to see her daughter survive. And you are a true inspiration to everybody here and all the people that you touch lives. And JC's is my family, you know, and for all intents and purposes, because I really don't have much left other than you guys. And you guys keep me sober, and people like you keep me sober. So thanks for your service.
Thank you, everybody. We're out of time. If you feel like you need to talk to somebody, feel free to get with them, get with somebody after the meeting. Anybody on Zoom or Facebook, just give somebody a call. Sometimes it really helps to talk it out and to hear it out loud when we talk to somebody else. Let's see. Okay, so I forgot to ask somebody to do the chips. So, Chris?
I I didn't do it on purpose.
Sounds good. My name's Chris and I'm an alcoholic. All right, in our rooms we got poker chips, man, because they say we're gambling with our lives, man. They just note our sobriety time. Can I get anybody want to pick up a white chip? Just coming in. We got. We got green for 30 days.
All right, right here.
Oh, congratulations, what's your name? Woo! Jasmine, 30 days, congratulations. We got 60 days, blue chip. Anybody with 60 days? We got 90 days, red. Anybody want to pick up 90 days? We got, sorry. Anybody online? Are you looking? Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking too.
All right. And then we got 6 months, pink. And then we got 9 months for purple. All right, some suggestions that were given to me when I first got here were, do 90 meetings, 90 days, get a sponsor that works the steps. You work the steps and keep God first. And no matter what, don't go.
Thank you. I have asked JC to read a vision for you.
All right, JC.
Hey, I'm JC, I'm an addict.
JC.
Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then.
Thank you everyone for coming to spread the word tonight, and we have a nice way of closing.
Let's have a moment of silence for those still sick and suffering, for those we have lost, and for their families. Let's thank God for bringing us here tonight to be together. Our Father,
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Stay.